Hey guys, Shadowwada here, bringing you an analysis of BARs versus 1919s. Now, if you guys were watching the good old weekly cup where I won, I made good use of the BARs. And in a lot of my previous games, especially with the Calliope, I made use of the 1919s. So I've used both in tournament settings. And so I kind of know the difference between the two and why, right as of right now, I favor BARs in most situations. And so let's just break it down a little bit. So 1919s, they're available on two commanders. They're 70 munitions each. 70, right? Can you guys see that? Okay. 70 munitions each, so 140. Okay, that's a 4. 140. For two, well, BARs. Now you have to tech them, which is 150 manpower and 15 fuel, and then they are 60 munitions each, which then is 120 for two of them. So as you see, broke down the prices here very shittily on my whiteboard, and so let's just get into the nitty gritty. One of the reasons why I didn't like bars for a long time, there was one stream I did, and there was some people in there that I didn't recognize who were a little bit aggressive, and so they were like, "Man, you fucking suck, man. Build bars," and I was like, "Man, fuck you. I'm awesome." And then after I kind of like sobered up, took a step back, it's like, let me think about it, and let me experiment with the BARs, because even if people are assholes, they might have a point. See that. That's one thing you gotta get in the habit of. Even if you think they're wrong, just keep an open mind and be like, they might be right. So BARs, one of the big things is the teching cost, right? Teching, right? So by teching, see, you pick a commander for 1919s, you just get them. When it comes to BARs, you have to tech for them. And so this is time and resources, which you might not have at the time. Because one of the things, when your units are all running back to base, especially as USF where you're like blobbing up and like just like rawing people, you probably don't have a spare 150 manpower. This is why it's important to keep this in mind, especially like with the ambulance, frag grenades, BARs, stuff like that in mind when you're out in the field, so you can buy it and tech it up, and then it won't hurt you as much. Because if you're all back, if all your units are back at base, you need to resupply them all, and then just like, oh yeah, let me tech something. It's all the more manpower all up front. So that's one reason why it's not that good, or at least why I believe it's not that good. But also time, right? Time. Right. I'm trying to write one-handed to the side here. My handwriting's not that bad. It's bad, not that bad. So time. Now, this can be neutralized. See, the thing about time, though, it can be neutralized once you get the captain out. So if you need BARs right now, you can just get the captain out, use his ability. Because people don't use the captain ability. The captain's basic ability is he can supervise a building and pump out a unit like, boom, unit is now pumped out. So time, not that big a factor. And like what I said before, if you're out in the field, you can buy the thing, and then by the time you get back, you'll have the 1990 or the BARs unlocked. And so, but let's get into the main difference between the BARs and the 1919s, and why, generally speaking, I prefer the BARs right now over the 1919s. So let me just wipe this off. Might edit this out of the video, might not. Gotta keep that behind the scenes action in here, where you get to see me wipe off a whiteboard. So BARs, generally speaking, are good in close to mid range, while 1919s are good in long range. Now, one of the key differences here, and one of the things that gets tied to this, is that 1919s, you have to be stationary. Okay, there we go. That's stationary behind me. Can't really read that. So you have to be stationary for 1919s. Well, BARs, you can fire on the move. Fire on move. And because you can fire on the move, the BARs here, helps out the natural strengths of USF. Because as USF, you really want to close the gap, shock and awe your enemy, and just game bang, just like rah rah rah, and just fuck them up. And that is why BARs generally are better, because you can fire them on the move. They do more damage the closer they get, and so it just is awesome. Now, 1919s on the other hand, they do a lot of damage too. That's the thing. They do a lot of damage. But you have to be stationary. So think of 1919s. Think of 1919s like they're MG42. So MG42. Can you see that? No, you can't. MG42. So think of them. Think of them. Like, oh no, the camera. Oh, there we go. Are we good? Okay, we're good. MG42s on the Grenadiers. Hold on. All right, there we go. You can see my blinds in the background. So MG42s are very good at long range, and then their damage decreases over time, or as the gap gets closed. And so 1919s naturally are good on maps where you can't really close the gap. So on Longoskaya, on Rails and Metal, Road to Kharkov, Minsk Pocket to an extent, like maps where it gets really kind of stagnant, where there's a clear line, and so you would want to do that. But the problem is that that's not to USF's natural capabilities. Germans, generally speaking, are more the sit back, relax, just be like faction, while USF, Soviets, Allies in general, are like raw, and they just swarm you. Definitely USF. They're all about getting close and fucking you up. So 1919s, they're good in the situations where it's a little bit more standoffish, where you can't really close the gap, especially against Wehrmacht as they say, with their MG42. So double 1919s can counter the MG42s, Grenadiers. Now the only problem is, and one of my big gripes, and why the BARs generally are a little bit better, is when you factor in the sniper into the game. Where if you have 1919s, because you have to be stationary, because they do their most damage at long range, you might be able to kill the sniper. Not really, because the snipers are really hard to kill. So you want to be able to close the gap and chase the motherfucker down, which BARs are naturally good for. That, and also one thing that should be mentioned, 1919s are tied to a commander. So if you want to go Rifleman Company, for me there's like three good commanders. There's the Pershing commander, the Easy 8 commander, and then Calliope/Priest commander. Like those two. So my loadout, the Calliope or the Priest commander would be the third one, and then Pershing, and then Rifleman Company Easy 8s would be also in there. And the reason why is just because like it covers all your bases. So if I don't want to go, because there's certain situations when I want to go the 1919 commanders, but that's not every situation. So because of that, having BARs kind of opens you up a bit. Because it's like if you are in love with 1919s, then you are forced to go that commander every time. That and 1919s, I erased it, but they're 10 more munitions, which isn't that much, but in regards to like if you have 3 to 4 riflemen and you're trying to get them all weaponed up and you're using grenades, like smoke grenades, frag grenades, like munitions, it's good to have some in the bank. So if BARs, a little bit less munitions and all that. So in closing, BARs generally better because they're good at the close and mid range. You can fire them on the move, and they're not tied to a commander or anything, and they play to the natural strengths of USF because you want to double down on your strengths. You want to double down on what works. Where it's like USF's boss at close and mid range, like that's what riflemen are all about, especially against Volks and Grenadiers, where they're not that meaty. Like Grenadiers kind of suck. like as the game goes on, once they get their veterancy, once they get their MG42s, once they get good defensive positions, then they're awesome because they're able to hang in the back and be like, tut, 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 right? But like in the early game, if riflemen get next to grenadiers, they just die. Volk's grenadiers, because they got reworked buffed, they can handle riflemen a bit easier. But again, riflemen in close range usually beats everything. I actually, funny story, I remember a 2v2. Me and Wanderer were having a bunch of 2v2s against, I think it was like Lemon and Ciez or something. Ciez and somebody else. And I think it was Lemon. And we would lose. We would lose every fucking game just because I had such a horrible early game as Wehrmacht, where I would lose like 1 to 2 grenadiers off the start. Because like I haven't played in a while, and it's just like the riflemen get right next to the Grens, and then they instantly melt in like 3 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, and it's just like, oh, I need to retreat faster. So imagine that with BARs, and it's awesome. And then and also talking about maps where 1919s generally are on maps like, I don't know, Crossing in the Woods comes to mind just because of like there's the river, and then it's very hard to kind of close the gap since how tight it is. Road to Kharkov, Minsk Pocket, you can kind of say it gets kind of standoffish. Anytime there's like a standoff where there's like your side, enemy side, middle ground, that's like the death ground, where it's just like you go in, you cap it for a little bit, then you get pushed out, they go in, cap it for a little bit, then they get pushed out. So 1919 is good in those situations. BAR is good in opposite situations, where tight maps like Samosky or Stalingrad or anything where it's a bit tighter, where it's not like that standoffish type things. And also, as I said, when you can close that gap and just swarm own and pwn kind of thing. And so that's why, generally speaking, that's a bit better, because it also allows you to be more mobile. 1919s, you can't shoot on the move. BARs, you can shoot on the move. So a bit more mobility there. So anyway, wrap up the closing here. BAR is generally better. Remember to buy them, because the other thing is, if you don't have grenades, you're not really spending your munitions on anything. So this is always a good thing to spend some munitions on. So I hope you guys now know the difference between the two. See, now you can see that. Anyhow, hope you enjoy this. Hope you got some enlightening, and I'll see you guys on the next one.